Good evening everybody, welcome to Mixed Energy Formula Online Racing for the penultimate rounds of the F2 Championship tonight. Still extremely close, but one driver could take a huge step towards winning the championship tonight here at the Sochi Autodrome in Russia, as we see Flip Flop Fish, a man who did very well last week, nearly get it wrong instantly on the outlap here in this qualifying session. He took the win in Belgium in the feature race, backed that up with a third in the sprint race, got more points than anyone last time around. He will be very happy with his performance there. There is still 8 drivers who can mathematically win this championship, but it is looking more and more that it is going to be one of 3 drivers. The man we're seeing on screen and the last week's feature race winner, as I said, Flip Flop Fish, he now finds himself just 7 points behind Lee Findlay in this championship. Lee managing to get a second in the feature race last time after missing qualifying, which was a fantastic performance, and backing that up with a 4th in the sprint race at Monza. And not too far behind either, just 12 points off of Flip Flop Fish, 19 off the lead is Josh. Qualified on pole last time around, but had a very strange incident at the start where it turns out his car for some reason wouldn't let him select gear, wouldn't let him select third gear to be specific. So as he went at the start, bogged down in 4th, changed down gear to what he hoped would be 3rd, it went to 2nd, and too much wheel spin on the wet tarmac sent him into the barriers. Thankfully he was able to continue, and he recovered to get points in that race and get a victory in the sprint race. So he'll be hoping for a much more conventional performance tonight. We've got 15 drivers here at Russia, and it is sure to be a fantastic couple of races. We've got the full 30-minute qualifying session, followed by the 50% feature, and as always, the mad 5-lap sprint towards the end. So Flip Flop Fish going to take us around this circuit, around the Sochi Olympic Park. Turn 1 there, just a flat-out curve. You've got a long run that offers plenty of opportunity for slipstreaming as you brake hard for turn 2. Expect to see a lot of cars running into the runoff there. And then you've got this long left-hander at turn 3 that is really going to put stress on that front right tyre. As you accelerate around this corner there, you can see just changing up gear, and you've got to make sure you're over to the left-hand side to get the best possible line for turn 4. Coming towards the end of the first sector now. Turn 5, another 90-degree right-hander. And these 90-degree corners are a big feature of many street circuits, and this Sochi Autodrome is no different. Flat through 6, making sure again that you're well over to the left hand side of the track to get the best possible line through 7. 8 and 9, an awkward double left-hander. Don't want to be too greedy on the first one, otherwise it can compromise your line through 9, and then you won't be in the right place for the braking zone of turn 10. Heading now towards the second DRS zone as Flip Flop again getting it wrong. He really seems to be struggling with grip, and that is something you see a lot in these F2 cars. They are on the medium tyres, most of the drivers. Only Alan at the moment showing on the board there with the soft tyres. He's come through 11 and 12, braking hard for turn 13, and then you've got this final twisty final part of the lap. You're not going to see a lot of overtaking through here. It's just about keeping it nice and smooth in qualifying and making sure you don't make any mistakes, as we've seen Flip Flop Fish there go 14, 15 and 16, heading down the straight now towards turn 17. Pit lane entry on the right hand side, a very tight pit lane entry here can trick some of the drivers. They will have to make a compulsory pit stop if it stays dry, and unsurprisingly Flip Flop Fish not going fastest after that mistake. He's on a 1:49.599. It's currently Westy who is fastest. Josh has invalidated his lap, so he will not be able to set a lap this time around, but quite often in these F2 cars they do go around for a lot more than 1 lap, so should have plenty of tyres left to do multiple laps. Remember, you do get 4 points for pole position here, so I expect to see a lot of the drivers towards the end of the session go for those super soft tyres when they realise 4 points are up for grabs, especially some of those who have still got a mathematical chance of winning the championship, but perhaps not a realistic one. Andenge, who's currently in 2nd, he's 28 points off the lead. Jompalainen, he needs a huge performance if he's to stay in the championship. Currently in 5th position, but finds himself 48 points off of Lee Findlay. Only had 1 podium since that dominant pole and victory in the Spanish feature race. Needs something to come good tonight. He's in the same team as Josh in the same car anyway, the Uni Virtuosi, but there is no Constructors' Championship. It is every man for himself. He goes into third position for now. Great lap there by Silent Ace. He made his F2 debut last time around. Got points in both races. A fantastic second in the sprint race. He's one of the drivers that you're going to have to watch out for. He's not fighting for anything. Another one who we expect to be hot on the pace is Glock in the Dams, reserving tonight in that Dams car. He is lightning quick in F1 cars. We saw that at the start of the season. We'll have to see how his performance there translates over into these F2 cars. A lot less grip and downforce as we see a car parked there over on the left hand side. I think that's a Silent Ace, making sure they're getting out of the way, as now we see there Flip Flop Fish with a 147.3 moving ahead of Westy, who had improved. So second laps, as quite often is the case, proving faster. We have seen drivers go 5 or even 6 laps on these harder tyres in qualifying in F2 for getting the best possible lap time, and we do have that 2 steps between the tyre choices here. It's mediums and the super softs. So when the drivers do go on the super softs, there's going to be a huge delta and also a huge difference in the tyre life of those tyres. So the mediums will probably be the better race tyre, as Josh there 146.329, a second faster than his 2 championship rivals. That is a big marker that he has laid down there. He's always confident about his performances. You can see why. He has had 5 wins so far this season in 10 races that he's taken part in. No one else has had more than 2. It's really been the consistency that Lee Findlay and Flip Flop Fish have shown. Lee Findlay's also done 10 races, only failed to get a podium twice, and one of those was last week with that 4th place. Only once has he finished outside the points. He's an extremely consistent driver, as Droftas there. He had a great qualifying in F1 at Monza on Saturday. He's up into 2nd place at the moment. No disrespect to him, but that says to me that there's more to come from Flip Flop, Lee Findlay, Westy, and some of these other drivers. Droftas, he's only had 1 podium in the F2 cars. That was in Azerbaijan in the feature race. Drove a fantastic clean race, as he is known for, and that is what got him the 3rd place there. But he's 9th in the championship at the moment on 39 points, so you wouldn't expect him to be near the front of the field, but maybe, just maybe, this Sochi Autodrome circuit will suit him. First used in Formula 1, therefore F2 in 2014, 5.848 kilometres, so about 4.7 miles, as George has retired from the session, and you can see why there, coming out of turn 7, that is. He's got on the curb, I imagine, spun it around in the wall, and the Prema driver will be taking no further part in this session. If he wants to add to his tally of 6 points, which he got all of them at the Belgian Grand Prix, he is going to have to do it from the back of the grid. See what some other drivers are doing then. Paulie Orange in the other Dams tonight. He's a driver who's up near the front of the F1 Championship, but still mathematically with a chance of winning this F2 Championship, but 81 points behind. His only realistic chance of doing that is if he wins pretty much every race and hopes for some big slip-ups from those ahead of him. So, as I said earlier, it's Lee Findlay, Flip Flop Fish, Josh that are the ones that are most likely going to take this championship, and it's very probable, with how close it is, that the battle will go to next week at the Yas Marina circuit. Maybe Andenge can sneak in there if he puts in a great performance as well. Does seem to keep picking up the odd podium here and there. He did that in Belgium, but he did that in Britain, and again in Italy. But those 2 wins in a row he got in the sprint race in Spain and the feature race in Azerbaijan, really his best performances, and it wouldn't surprise me if he has to rely on another great sprint race performance tonight. But I don't think that is going to be enough to really keep him in the championship. Likewise, Jon Palainen and Westy. Westy really has been a bit of a king of the sprint races since he joined. The last 2 haven't gone to plan, but his first 3 sprint races were the 2nd and 2 first places, so we know he is a quick driver. We also know this guy, when he gets it all together, doesn't do too badly. Got a 4th and a 5th last time out. You've got to be quick to get 2 top 5 finishes here in F2 with the grid as packed with talent as it is at the moment. So we'll see what sort of lap times he can follow around this circuit at the moment. It's coming down there. He's got a bit of traffic ahead of him there. That is Infamous Pillars. He'll be hoping that he gets well out of the way. He does not want to get held up by the Chiru car. Teammate to Droftas for the rest of the season. You can see Aylan there looking incredibly well at the moment in the Arden. Won't be on the F1 2020 game as the Arden team because they have had changed to HWA Race Lab, and we have now seen the first few races of the F1, F2 and F3 calendars. You've got the double header in Austria before heading to Hungary, double header at Silverstone as well for the British and 70th anniversary Grand Prix, as the additional one has been named before Hungary. Spain, going to be very hot indeed, Spain in August, and Belgium and Italy. You can see Infamous Pillars, I think he's on a hot lap, so he's entitled to stay in front of Aylan at the moment, so he's really pushing as hard as he can. There's nothing Aylan can do apart from sit back, and sitting back behind a slower car, as you can see through this final sector, really does compromise you. Won't lose as much performance as you would in an F1 car, but still not getting that clean air over the top of these F2 cars will slow you down through the medium speed corners, and we'll see what sort of lap time Aylan can set. Not expecting it to be anywhere near the top, and indeed 10th place, slotted in just behind his teammate Hibilu. Hibilu incredibly unlucky in fact last week in the other Arden car, as 11th in the feature, 9th in the sprint, so 1 place off the points in both. And if you're not familiar with the F2 scoring team, it's very similar to Formula 1 for the feature race, the difference being you get 4 points for pole position and 2 for the fastest lap. You also get 2 for the fastest lap in the sprint race, but for that the victor only gets 15 points, and then it moves down in the same way as the F1 does from 3rd down for the top 8 drivers. Nearly halfway through this session, Josh, Droftas, Paulie Orange, your top 3 at the moment, with Flip Flop Fish and the championship leader Lee Findlay in 5th. Let's see what this guy can do. Cassie G was looking extremely quick in the feature race last time out, was in 2nd before he suffered an engine failure. He's just invalidated his lap. These tarmac run-off zones and many of the modern circuits do tend to push for drivers to just go a little bit too hard, and as soon as you take the 4 wheels off the track, the game will invalidate a lap in qualifying and give you a warning in the race. And if you pick up too many warnings in the sprint race, you don't really have time to recover from it. Josh just about managed it last week. He was about 5 or 6 seconds ahead, I think, crossing the line, only won by a few tenths of a second because of penalties in the end. Go with Glock then. I said he was extremely quick. Expect him to be up near the top of the order. Wouldn't surprise me if he becomes 2nd man in the 146ers. There's yellow flags just up ahead. That'll be for his teammate on an outlap, just taking it nice and steady. Might provide a bit of a slipstream here down the straight, Paulie Orange. We'll have to wait and see. And he is getting some assistance, both with DRS open. Brilliant teamwork between the Dams drivers. As we said, there's no Constructors' Championship, but there's nothing stopping them working as a team. And these drivers like Glock, like Cassie G, like Silent Ace, for quick drivers that have entered F2 in the last couple of weeks, could take pole here. They've got nothing to lose, so they might as well go for the 4 pole points, and they could be also crucial at the end of the season if it prevents drivers like Josh, Flip Flop and Lee Findlay from getting them. Speaking of Lee Findlay, he has moved up into 2nd place now. Will Glock be able to challenge that here on his first F2 outing? And he moves, into 2nd. Still 4 tenths behind Josh with a 146.782. That's closer than anyone has got. We've got yellow flags, and that is Josh has crashed out, I believe. Has Josh pulled over, or has he crashed out coming out of turn 2, round turn 3? Yeah, you can see. Similar place to where Flip Flop Fish ended off, but Josh has clearly gone into the wall, and that is the end of his session. So 146.329, he won't be able to improve on that, and with 15 minutes to go, he has got to hope that that is good enough to get him pole position. Lee Findlay with a slight improvement in that first sector. Mr. Consistent since he joined F2 5 rounds ago now. He's been in 10 races, 8 podiums, 2 victories, and that is what has given him that slender lead in the championship at the moment of 7 points. Flip Flop Fish had a very good outing last time around. The first time Flip Flop's managed to get 2 podiums at the same meeting, and that has really helped him in the championship. Now Flip Flop, 3 podiums in a row. He's the form driver, you've got to say now. And can he close up the gap in the championship even more? As that's what I said about it being extremely tricky pit lane entry. If Lee Finley was just going a bit hotter there, you'd miss the pit lane completely, and doing that in the race, you are not going to get away with, especially with the tyre life on some of these cars. It's really going to cost you, as we see now Cassie G goes up into 11th place with a 148.488, and he's now just cruising back to the pits, I'd imagine, to get a bit more fuel in that car. Of course, now, if some of the other drivers go for the super soft tyres, there's nothing Josh can do. He can't fight back about that. He's just going to hope that the fact that the medium is by far the superior race tyre, that no one is tempted by that. But I'd be very surprised if someone, especially those a bit lower down the order, who haven't really got to think about the championship, just want to go for a bit of glory in the race and see if they can pull off something different, will probably go for those softer tyres. A Silent Ace now, podium's time last time around, he gets a 7th position for now in this session. See what some of the other drivers are doing then. Hibilo, 10th. As I said, Kit has picked up the odd point here in F2, and with the walls being ever close at the Sochi circuit, especially around here, we've seen at turn 2 a few drivers get it wrong already, and in that middle sector of the lap, the final sector, a bit slower speed, but still, if you get it wrong, extremely unforgiving. Let's see what the Arden driver can do, if he can make any improvements. Going around that turn 3 and 4, you will see some overtakes there, especially in the first couple of laps. I guarantee it was the site of where Bottas and Raikkonen came together in 2015, I believe. Claire Williams, it's safe to say, wasn't too happy about the driving from the elder Finn there, as they ended up retiring from the race, and Sergio Perez stuck his way onto the podium, as he so often does, the Mexican, when there's a bit of carnage in a race. Tabilu looking to be keeping it nice and smooth here. Doesn't seem to get involved in any incidents, does the Scot. Just not quite got the pace of the others. He knows that, but he still tries 100% to see if he can just pick up some results, and he has been rewarded with a few points earlier on this season with that 9th place at Hungary, which was especially a race where a lot of the drivers seemed to struggle with the grip in qualifying, and we've seen that be the case here tonight. George retiring early on, and Josh with that crash coming out of turn 2. As you head into turn 3, that could cost him pole position, and those 4 points could be very crucial at the end of the season. Let's see if Hibilu could find any improvement. Doesn't need to find much to get ahead of Andench, who's the car in front of him on track, and indeed he does. Andench just got it wrong coming out of the final corner, and that could have cost the Trident driver. He's been leapfrogged by Hibilu, who moves into 9th with a 148.176. With just under 12 minutes to go, it is still Josh top of the standings, Glock in 2nd, Lee Findlay 3rd, this man Droftas in 4th place. Can he stay there? Can he find a bit more pace? Seems to be finding a bit more pace now that he's racing with these faster guys regularly. Hasn't enjoyed the F2 cars as much as he had the F1 cars, but maybe this is a sign that things are beginning to come together, and as soon as I say that, he goes and invalidates. They're heading around turn 4. Won't be the first driver to do that. We've seen already. Definitely won't be the last. So that's enough for him. Lee Findlay, can he improve? Can he keep it nice and clean? I'm sure he wants to get alongside Josh. You probably actually, you get your 4 points for pole position, but as we've seen, it is a long run from the starting grid to the first braking zone at turn 2. Turn 1 being that flat out right hander, really not going to have an effect on the opening lap, as again drivers seem to be getting a bit greedy around certain corners, and turn 5 and turn 7 seem to be the big culprits of where drivers are just going a bit too much over the white lines and costing themselves in this session so far. Haven't really looked much at Infamous Pillars at the moment. He is finding an improvement, currently 14th out of 15 drivers at the moment. Picked up 1 point on his debut last time out in the feature race, and with the difficult weather conditions there, as he just gets a bit greedy, gets too close to that wall, and that is lap invalidated. So despite looking like that might be enough to move him up towards Jompalainen, he's not going to be able to improve on this lap. Let's see where it would have put him as he heads across the line. In fact, he just slotted just behind the Univirtuosi driver. Alan heading into the pits. Glock, he's trying to improve again, get closer to Josh, knowing now that Josh can't go out and stop him. We're seeing his Dam's teammate, Paulie Orange, going for the super softs. Whether he chooses to go out on there, we'll have to see. Flip Flop Fish, he always tends to be one of the first drivers to take a risk on the softer compounds in F2 qualifying, and he really needs to at the moment, with Josh and Lee Findlay both ahead of him on the grid. Can't really afford to lose out too much to Lee Findlay, and Josh will be really hoping that neither of them leapfrog him on the grid, as he's 19 points behind at the moment. He could really do with them 4 bonus ones for pole position to give him an excellent chance of winning the championship. Obviously Lee Findlay, he's the only driver who could clinch it tonight, but he'd need a pretty much perfect weekend and for Flip Flop and Josh to hardly feature in the points at all. So chances of that happening are remote, but if it becomes a possibility, I will let you know. Duo in the sprint race as Glock, he rounds the final corner, not able to improve for now, stays on a 1:46.9. That time of Josh looking pretty much untouchable on the medium tyres. If you've got these nice, bright, shiny new pink ones on, maybe not as untouchable. Flip Flop Fish has gone out on him. This man, Paulie Orange, only 9 tips off the pair of them, and you would really expect him to find that improvement, but you can see he is just treating them with so much care on this warm-up lap. Does not want to take anything out of them because they will wear down so quickly, and we're going to see that in the race. So that start on the super soft tyres are going to be pretty good for the first couple of laps, and then are going to lose all of their pace, and it's going to be a struggle. Whoever can manage them the best and maybe stretch an extra lap or two out of the soft tyres, out of the medium, sorry, if you're starting on them, could be the person who ends up victorious. See, Paulie Orange there just slowing to let Flip Flop Fish by, who's not taking it anywhere near as steady on this outlap. Let's see what Lee Findlay can do then. Another try for the Trident driver. 1:47.008 at the moment. We've only got a quarter of the session to go, and we are seeing the first couple of drivers appearing on those super soft tyres now. Josh still the fastest driver, but he will not be able to improve after crashing. George, who has unfortunately left the session, hopefully he'll be able to get back in. We'll see if he gets any improvements this time in the race. He can only move one way up, and we're going to see Lee Findlay, championship leader at the moment, by just 7 points over Flip Flop Fish, 19 points ahead of Josh. Can he move up the order? If he gets the pole position here today, Lee Findlay, that would obviously put him 11 ahead of Flip Flop and 23 ahead of Josh, so making it a bit more tough for the Univirtuoso driver to perhaps take the championship. So I think he'll be really hoping that either he himself or someone else takes pole position off Josh. If it is someone else, though, he won't want it to be Flip Flop Fish, who is going to be first man around on a fast lap on those super soft tyres. We'll follow the Trident drive around these final couple of corners before changing over to Flip Flop and seeing what time he is doing. But can Lee Findlay find any more improvement? He clearly doesn't think so, as he's diving into the pits. But that is how quick these super soft tyres are. Flip Flop Fish has gone half a tenth faster in the first sector alone, so we could pretty much wave goodbye to Josh getting the pole position and the 4 points. But which driver is it going to be? Glock, Lee Findlay, Droftas, Flip Flop Fish, Silent Ace for top 5 who are still in this session. Paulie Orange tied with Silent Ace, who's just moved up into 6th position. You can see now 1.3 seconds. If he just keeps this clean, he's going to be in the 1:45s. That is going to be a fantastic opportunity for him to pick up 4 points here tonight and help his championship challenge. He's been catching Lee Findlay over the last 2 races that we saw at Italy. Could he overhaul him tonight with only 1 round to go next week at Abu Dhabi? What can the American do as he goes around the final couple of corners here at the Sochi Autodrome? Got to keep it clean out of turn 18. That's not what Andenge managed to do earlier, and it's a 1:45.269. He's found 2 seconds on those super soft tyres. I think we're going to see a lot more drivers now heading out and putting those on, because that is a storming lap time by the Trident driver. Paulie Orange again on another outlap, so he must have headed into the pits or invalidated his previous one because he clearly wasn't happy with it. He's got Westy not too far behind. Droftas, he's on a super soft tyre run, so we'll see what he can do. Can he get near to Flip Flop Fish? He was ahead of him, of course, on the medium tyres. Said it was a great lap from Droftas first time around. Can he back it up in the Chiru car? 5th and 14th, the two Sauber Junior team drivers at the moment, and Droftas coming around. Just got turn 4 to go. He's got his teammate ahead of him, and might we see a bit of teamwork between these drivers, because we've seen it between the dams already. And Droftas, has he found an improvement? Yeah, he's 3 tenths up on his personal best. He's not as quick as Flip Flop was, and whether he was quick or not doesn't make a difference at the moment, because he's actually invalidated that time there, so he's just going to clear well out of the way. Paulie Orange, he's finding an improvement. Again, don't think he's quite as quick as Flip Flop Fish was. Lee Findlay staying in the pit, so is he happy just to qualify wherever he does on those medium tyres? Start on the mediums and then have the super softs on towards the end of the race, where you're most likely to go pick up them 2 points for the fastest lap. This could be a tactical move here by the championship leader to stay in the pits. Everyone else at the moment does have the super soft tyres on, suggesting they are going to go for that one. Paulie Orange trying to get a bit of a slipstream there off Droftas. Nothing wrong with that, and he's 8 tenths up on his personal best. So he's not going to challenge Flip Flop Fish, but this should be good enough to put him in second place for now. Josh is going to find himself tumbling down the order, and if I was Lee Findlay, I'd want to get out on these super soft tyres, because I feel you could end up starting a long way down in this qualifying session if you do not do so, and I'm not sure he'll want to be mired in the midfield. That turn 2 always seems to cause incidents here at Sochi on the first lap, and if you're in the midfield, you're more likely to be involved, as Paulie Orange 3.5 tenths behind Flip Flop Fish, as Westy goes into third with a 146.0. He'll have been hoping for a bit more time on these tyres. See what Anden can do at the moment. He's currently down in 11th, needs a fantastic performance here to give himself a hope of winning the championship next time around. He goes up into 5th on a 146.389. No one seeming to be able to get close to Flip Flop Fisher's time at the moment. We've got Glock just doing his first lap. Lee Findlay still in the pits. He's just coming out now, leaving it as late as he dares. There's a lot of other drivers on out laps as well. So this circuit is going to be getting very busy. Has Droftas got enough laps left in his tyres? He's dropped down to 8th and invalidated early on, and you really can't afford to do that. You need to hit the ground running extremely early on these tyres. Glock improving on his time at the moment. Currently finds himself in 6th. He'll be looking for a front row slot at least. Was second fastest out of those that won the medium tyres earlier on. So we know he should have good race pace. Can he translate that to a pole position here on debut? And he's invalidated his lap. Maybe some of these drivers are leaving it till the last minute, obviously, to try and get out lap time and not use as much super soft tyres as possible to ensure they've got at least one fresh set for that sprint race later on, because if you have to start that on the mediums, you're going to find yourself really struggling. Perhaps that's why Lee Findlay's making sure he's only going to do one lap, but you put that pressure on yourself if you end up invalidated, because then you've got to try and do it second time around on a worn set of tyres. These super softs really do not enjoy being hammered around the circuit once and then trying to instantly get the same amount of performance. Infamous Pillars moves up into 9th, just behind his teammate. Silent Ace finding some improvements. Westy has retired from the session, so he's had enough of this qualifying session. Only 45 seconds to go. Can anyone stop Flip Flop Fish claiming the 4 points and closing the gap in the championship to just 3 points ahead of the sprint race? We'll have to see. Silent Ace looking very quick, maybe just running a bit too deep there as he started the third sector through 13 and 14, but keeping it clean. This is looking like a very good lap. Cassie G goes into 4th, just behind Westy, so the MP cars rounded out the second row at the moment. Silent Ace coming out of 16, heading towards 17 and 18 now. If he just keeps it clean, this is going to be a big improvement. Is he going to be able to challenge them first couple of rows of the grid? Definitely. He moves up there into 3rd position. He'll be happy with that lap time. Lee Findlay's not too far off improving his time. We'll see what he's looking like through the first sector. 4 tenths up on his personal best, so if he keeps this clean, he'll be moving up. Droftas 10th in the end, wasn't able to get another lap with yellow flags in Sector 1. That was just before slow-moving cars. Alan coming around the final couple of corners now. Currently in 12th position. Jompalainen wasn't able to improve on his time, so he stays in 14th. Alan comes across the line. He's now up into 4th. Pushes both of the MP cars onto the 3rd row. Infamous Pillars comes into 10th place. It's going to be Hibilu, next car across the line. Can he find an improvement? With some of those drivers around him invalidating, he could find a chance to move himself up a few places. He definitely does so. He's up into 9th position. It's going to be Glock and Lee Findlay and Andenge. Final few drivers across the line, I think, to set hot laps. It wouldn't surprise me, actually, looking at Andenge's tyre life, if he's just on a cooldown. So Glock and Lee Findlay, 10th and 12th, and they really need to get this right at the moment. They're both clean. So what can Glock do? Can he move up and challenge for pole position on his debut? He's done it for now. He's taken it off of Flip Flop Fish. So that is a 1 minute 45. Lee Findlay goes into 3rd. And yeah, Andenge just sending his car round the field. So Glock will take pole position on his debut, stealing the 4 points from Flip Flop Fish right at the death, and Lee Findlay moves into 3rd. So the top 2 drivers in the championship starting near the front. After his accident earlier, Josh will be down in 10th place. That is going to make things really tense indeed around this circuit. He's going to have to come up through the race. We know he's capable of doing it. We've seen him start at the back so many times in F2. I'm sure he'd have not wanted to be starting anywhere near the midfield, especially, as I've said, turn 2, very tight, becoming there at extremely high speeds, very harsh braking zone, so easy to get tangled up in an accident. So it's Glock getting pole, Flip Flop Fish will be 2nd, Lee Findlay 3rd, Paulie Orange 4th. So both the damn cars will be really happy with their performance here tonight. Silent Ace 5th, Alan 6th, for there's someone, Jompalainen there, facing completely the wrong way with a tyre missing on his car. He'll be starting from 14th, so Univirtuosi haven't exactly had the best look of things here so far tonight. They'll be hoping that could change in the race, but there's the confirmation that Glock, by just over 10th of a second, takes the pole position and the 4 points from Flip Flop Fish. Lee Findlay got himself up to 3rd. The final seconds of qualifying, Paulie Orange will be happy to start from 4th. Silent Ace showing his good form that he showed last week in 5th. Alan 6th, Westy 7th, Cassie G hoping to get his first points after an unfortunate couple of incidents in Monza of his 8th. Andenge 9th, Josh only 10th on the grid, Hibilo 11th, Infamous Pillars 12th, Droftos 13th, Jompalainen 14th, George 15th. He does keep disconnecting from the session, but hopefully he will be fine to take part in the feature race, which will be coming up shortly. And after last week's shenanigans in qualifying in the feature race, I'm sure the drivers will be glad to see that it is looking very dry here on the Black Sea Resort of Sochi for what will be the 17th race of this F2 season. Abu Dhabi, the finale, will be next Tuesday. We've also got more F1 action where myself and Jess are now into the final third of the F1 2019, the PS4 season, where we've seen the championship lead change hands this time around. It's now Josh heading up the championship in that. Can he maintain that lead around Singapore? Another tight, twisty circuit, similar to what we've got here at Sochi. That race is a bit of a test of endurance. His feature race, nowhere near as long as the races they have to do in F1, and the sprint race, 5 laps of pure chaos. It's usually the best way to describe those. That'll be coming up straight after this feature race, where the lights are coming on now. We've got 5 lights here at Russia, and the feature race is underway. Glock getting bogged down, perhaps getting caught out by the characteristics of the F2 cars. Lee Findlay getting an absolutely fantastic start. He's up into the lead of the race. Silent Ace and Flip Flop Fisher battling. Josh already finding himself up into 8th place. You can see them all spreading across the track, but we've got Lee Findlay in the lead at the moment. Silent Ace trying to stay in 2nd. Flip Flop Fish is in 3rd. Glock trying to get back at him. Paulie Orange 5th. Westy in 6th. Josh moving his way up through the field as well. Already gaining 3 places on this first lap. He knows he needs to make hay while the sun shines here. We'll look what tyres everyone is on. See who started on the Super Soft. Silent Ace, Paulie Orange, Cassie G, Andenge, George and Infamous Pillars on those Super Soft tyres. As we can see there, the two Dams cars going at it. Paulie Orange trying to get past Glock and Flip Flop Fish in these early stages. We saw a car getting a bit wild there towards the back. Not sure who that was, but Lee Findlay has now been passed by Silent Ace. Doesn't need to worry too much about him because he is on those super soft tyres and he's on a completely different strategy. But the perfect start for the championship leader as, oh, Flip Flop Fish is in the wall. Flip Flop Fish in the wall. He's got some damage. There's quite a few cars involved there. Westy's facing in the wrong direction. It's absolute carnage coming out of turn 8 and 9. I think there was some contact with Glock, Flip Flop Fish and Paulie Orange. And then obviously with him spinning around the circuit, loads of drivers getting themselves involved and getting damage. I'm not sure if Andenge was involved in that as well. Paulie Orange I think was. Hopefully we'll be able to see if he's got any damage. He has. Josh. Wow, I think he's used up a few lives there because he's survived his way through all of that, it seems, without any damage. He is now in 4th position. Just see here, yeah, looking fine. Looking like the end plates and everything in the right places. So he could still get some good results in this race. It wouldn't be too surprising if he goes on and wins it. But it's Silent Ace in the lead at the moment from Lee Findlay. Glock in 3rd, Josh in 4th. You can see there, Paulie Orange, Flip Flop, Cassie G, Hibilu, all having to pit. And Flip Flop will have to make 2 pit stops in this race, and that could really compromise his chances. He needs to look for a top 8 position. As we see Josh there nearly losing it in the exact same place he did in qualifying. He wouldn't want to make that same mistake twice, otherwise he could find his championship chances really taking a big hit here. But Lee Findlay, 2nd position, trying to keep up with Surface. As you just see him running wide there, that would definitely get himself a penalty if he does that 2 option. As you can see, Paulie Orange, Flip Flop, Cassie G, Hibilu, Westy, Droftas, Infamous Pillars, all having to pit in the early stages. These guys just about getting through unscathed, and Denge getting through all that without any damage. Alan as well. George in 7th. It's currently an AI car, which is a shame for him. Hopefully he'll be able to get back into session so he can claim them points. And Jompalainen, he's got big damage. Surely he's going to have to pit. Both end plates missing. He's going to find it very difficult to get around this circuit for the rest of this race with that damage. Maybe just trying to get to a point where it makes more sense to pit, but having started on the medium tyres, that is going to be a good few laps yet. See Glock just closing up to Lee Findlay slightly for 2nd and 3rd place. Josh just a further 1.3 seconds back. Out in the lead though, TF Silent Ace got a 2nd in the sprint race last time around. He's trying to go 1 better in the feature race. We knew once we saw what tyres he was on, he was likely to streak away in the early stages. He got a fantastic start indeed, as did Lee Findlay. And you can see there, fastest lap of the race from Silent Ace on the super soft tyres. He's now 2.3 seconds in the lead, and DRS will be enabled. So first time they'll be able to use it is on that long back straight coming out of turn 10 on the run down towards 13. Although Glock, he's already in the slipstream, just not able to do anything about it this time around. Lee Findlay running wide once again. That's really compromised his run there. Glock can tuck right underneath him through turn 3, but he's not going to be close enough to have a lunge into turn 4. But Lee Findlay seems to be struggling a lot more with just the general shape of the car. He seems to be running a lot wider than Glock through some of these corners. He does, as you can see, he's locking up quite often as well. Not sure what assists the other drivers are using, but you can tell Lee Findlay, with his experience in other leagues, used to having no anti-lock brakes, but he seems to be really struggling to keep it on the circuit at the moment. Glock putting him under pressure. Josh being allowed now to catch up to these two. He's getting that gap to about a second, and I feel like Glock might just streak past Lee Findlay here and into 2nd place. Let's stay on board with the Dams car. DRS is opening. Is Lee Findlay going to try and cover it off? He's heading towards the inside line for turn 13, but I think Glock could be well past before we even get to the corner. And indeed, that is a position change. Glock, straightforward DRS pass into 2nd position, runs slightly wide. Lee Findlay not able to take advantage. Now though, that's got this man from 10th on the grid. He sniffs a podium place in these early stages. This could well be a battle for the lead as Westy's retired from the session. Westy got it wrong at turn 2. That's the exact same place. You can see Flip Flop Fish and Josh go off in qualifying. Josh nearly did the same thing here in the race. Westy, he is out of the race, and any slim hope he has had of winning the championship has been extinguished here at the Sochi Autodrome. on lap 3 for him. The leader, Silent Ace, on lap 4. Lee Findlay not thinking about attacking at the moment because he's got Josh all over the back of him. Both have got DRS. Is Josh going to be close enough to have a dive into turn 2? He thought about it, you know, and I think it was more the fact that the yellow flags were out is what ended up putting him off. But he's going to try and ride it all the way around the outside here at turn 3. He might be able to get a move down the inside if he's late enough on the brakes. No, Lee Findlay just about covering it off. Locking up once again, slightly missing the apex. He's going to have to go defensive here into turn 5. Is that giving Josh a better exit coming out of 5 onto 6 and 7? Yeah, Lee Findlay just shoving Josh towards the wall there. There's a bit of wheel banging between them. Lee Findlay's going to try and hold off, and Josh is around. Josh is around, just about keeps it going. He's dropped behind Andenge. I don't think he'll be too happy about that collision. He was pretty much alongside. Lee Findlay tried to hold him off. And these F2 cars and F1 cars on this game, we've seen quite often. You are on the inside and you just end up making contact with the rear of someone else's car with your front. It is usually the car behind that ends up pirouetting. Well held by Josh, I must say, to stop it becoming a full spin, but he's now got all that work to do again. And he's back behind Andenge, who surely his super softs will be beginning to already look a bit second best. Silent Aso up front, still keeping that gap at around 3 seconds ahead of Glock, but I don't think it'll be too long before we see those who started on the super softs come into the pits. See Josh just showing his nose slightly there before the final couple of corners, trying to put off Andenge, but that's not really an overtaking manoeuvre on at that corner. Much better to just wait for the DRS zone here. You'll see the rear wing pop open as it does in F1. And this will be a straightforward pass from Josh around the outside of Andenge. He's going to have the bit between his teeth as he tries to catch up to Lee Findlay, who is now lost for DRS. He's dropped more than a second behind Glock. Doesn't seem to be enjoying this at the moment. George has rejoined the session once again. His AI seems to be doing a decent job of driving around the track and keeping him in 7th place at the moment, so he might still pick up a few points here if he could just stay in the session at the end of this race. Another man who needs to fight his way up through the field in a much more dramatic way than what Josh is having to do. Flip-flop Fish will have to pit again as he started on the medium tyres. He is now behind Paulie Orange for 10th position. Things looking good for Lee Findlay and for Josh at the moment. Flip-flop, as I said earlier, needs to get in the top 8 and he'll be fine. He'll be fine if he gets in the top 8 because he'll benefit from that reverse grid for the sprint race. If he's anywhere near the front of a sprint race, it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up taking a victory here. That'll be his 3rd victory of the season. He's probably going to need that to keep in this championship hunt. We're on lap 5, and it is still this man Silent Ace, having started on those super soft tyres. Started from 5th on the grid, made his way up to first in the first couple of corners in the end. Got past most of the drivers at the start. Got past Lee Findlay in the opening half a lap. He's now in the lead of this race. Glock, who had that terrible start, has recovered to 2nd. You can see Josh has moved up 6 places. George going up 8. Jompalainen going up 6. And Denge as well going up 5 places. He is in, getting rid of those super soft tyres. And you can now see what tyres you want to be on, because fastest man at the moment is Josh. He is trying to catch back up to Lee Findlay. He seems to have a lot more pace than the Trident driver at the moment. Can he manage to get past him? He's tried it once into turn 7. Didn't exactly go to plan, I think is the nicest way you can say about it. So he'll be a bit wary of doing it around the same part this time. Might be better off having a go using the DRS, which he won't be close enough to have this time around. Although with the way Lee Findlay keeps running wide, it wouldn't surprise me if a penalty comes his way shortly. Just doesn't seem to have the grip on these medium tyres at this point in the race. As now you can see that gap closing, and again Lee Findlay locking up. He's really struggling on those mediums at the moment. He'll be wanting to get onto the super softs as quickly as possible, but don't want to be too quick because they're just terrible with tyre life. As you can see, Flip-Flop Fish has managed to get past Paulie Orange into turn 2. He's now up into 9th place. And Andenge coming out of the pits on those fresh medium tyres, making short work of Jompalainen. Will Andenge be able to pull off an undercut here? How far ahead can he get ahead of Josh? Because obviously Josh, Lee Finley and Glock will be on the super softs towards the end, so they'll be lightning fast. But wouldn't surprise me if they are behind Andenge after the pit stop. Any of the leaders coming in this time around. That certainly looks as though Silent Ace is making his way towards the pit lane. So has Andenge been able to gain anything on him, you'll expect Silent Ace to come out behind George in 6th place. So now the Pole City Glock leading this race as we come on to lap 7. He is in the lead. Lee Finley just about, I think that gap was just under a second. And yeah, Josh is going to have DRS again, so this is really going to help him close up. He's not going to be close enough to have a go into turn 2. Just needs to stay patient. I think turn 13 is going to be where we see Josh throw one down the inside and take 2nd position in this race. 19 points behind Lee Finley going into this race. Needs every point he can to try and catch up in the championship and to take advantage of Flip Flop being way down the order in 9th at the moment. Silent Ace indeed coming out in 6th position. Jon Palainen, he's pitted as well, finally getting rid of that damaged front wing. He's going to be well down the order. We've got Hibilu and Droftas battling as well, but we'll stay on board with Josh coming up to the corner where he's already had a bit of a collision with Lee Finley, and this time it's Josh's turn to just run slightly wide. Glock 2 seconds ahead of this pairing at the moment as Jon Palainen coming out in what will be 13th place, I believe, after he has made that pit stop. Now DRS open for Josh. Is he close enough to have a go this time? Lee Finley seems to run a much better middle part of that lap than he's been having so far. Didn't see as many puffs of smoke coming from the wheels of that Trident, and he holds off again, but Josh has now really closed that gap. This is going to be a lightning battle to watch in the next few stages of this race. There's a lot at stake here. Who want to win this F2 championship. Flip Flop Fish trying to push his way up the order. He's earned himself a penalty at the moment as Lee Finley dives into the pits. That's how much he's not enjoying the mediums. As, oh, he's got it wrong, and that gets you a penalty for corner cutting. You can see that's a 3 second straight time penalty for corner cutting. Might be able to get that removed in the stewards, but not showing enough caution on the way into the pits. That could really cost him in this race. So he'll be putting on the super soft tyres. Getting them towards the end is going to be a bit of a task as George comes in as well on his super soft. So Josh now 2.3 seconds ahead of behind Glock, I should say, sorry. Alan in 3rd place, having a bit of a quiet race at the moment in the Arden, but could still find himself with a part to play in the latter stages as he comes out on the fresh super soft tyres. He's in 3rd, Silent Ace 4th, Lee Finley. Is he going to come out behind Andenge? No, just ahead of his teammate and on better tyres for now. So Lee Finley is going to try and hunt down Silent Ace as quickly as possible while ensuring that he can get those super softs to last 7 laps. Droftas is currently on his 7th lap on them right now, so it is doable, especially as the fuel load comes down. It's just whether you're going to have enough pace at the end, and Droftas currently has Hibilu all over him for 12th, 11th and 12th place. Car number 11 currently occupying that 11th place. But out in front on lap 8, it is Glock, Josh and Alan, your front 3 at the moment. The only 3 drivers yet to pit. We saw that crash earlier on that quite a few drivers were involved in. That the biggest victim of that was Flip Flop Fish, the man currently 2nd in the championship. As we see now, yellow flags in sector 2, and that is George facing the wrong way. He's now going to drop behind Paulie Orange. And all the front drivers, actually, yeah, there's front 2 coming in. Glock and Josh heading into the pits. Alan not following them. He's going to stay out for another lap. So, how much time has Lee Finley gained on the undercut? He should still come out ahead of Josh. Can he come out any closer to Glock? We'll have to wait and see. So the driver's definitely not doing as long many laps on the mediums as I'd have thought. I'd have thought they'd been trying to get to lap 9, probably lap 10. We can see here, yeah, I think Lee Finley will have done enough to possibly take the lead of this race here. It's going to be pretty close between Glock and Lee Finley. Lee Finley's going to have the momentum. And he's just behind, Josh slotting in as well. Silent Ace 3 seconds up the road on the medium tyres. They're slower, but they'll be more durable. So he's going to have a very tough job defending his net lead of this race. It's Alan now in the Arden, though. 12.7 seconds ahead. He's going to drop behind these guys. Probably drop behind Andenge as well. Now look, everyone has made a stop apart from Alan, but Paulie Orange, Flip Flop Fish. Well, has Paulie? No, I think Paulie Orange actually started on the super soft tyres, so he'll be fine. Flip Flop Fish definitely started on the medium, so he'll have to pit again. Got more yellow flags in sector 1 and 2. Not sure if that was just a car getting out of the way there, as Andenge has actually managed to get past Josh. So that's what it was. It was just spinning around, and he's got himself a penalty. So Josh pushing hard, trying to catch up to Lee Findlay. He has now dropped to 6th position. He's got big damage. Josh has been in the wall. He's damaged his end plate, and that could be his chances of challenging Lee Findlay tonight over. Flip Flop Fish has been in the wall once. Josh has been in the wall. Lee Findlay, despite all his lockups, he's managed to avoid the wall, but obviously him and Josh did have that bit of contact. Is Josh going to pit or just carry on? Pit stops are so slow in Formula 2 cars that I think he'll just probably carry on towards the end of the race. He's got Flip Flop Fish not too far behind him, but he does have to pit again. Paulie Orange and George do not, but he might have enough time to hold on from those two. We'll have to wait and see what Josh decides to do. And of course, he'll be higher up the grid for the sprint race, so wouldn't surprise me if that's where he ends up taking a victory tonight. Lee Findlay, much enjoying these super soft tyres, fastest lap of the race. So being the first of these lead runners to set a full flying lap on them. And Glock already on the back of Silent Ace. Alan staying out for another lap. He's done more what I expected the drivers to do and got a bit longer on those medium tyres. Whether it turns out to be the best strategy, because these super softs do seem to be a bit more durable than I expected. Droftas on his 9th lap now on those tyres. He's obviously trying to take them as long as possible, avoiding wanting to pit again, because these F2 pit stops are incredibly slow. But Glock just got so much more traction than Silent Ace. Is he going to wait until the DRS zone, which would be the sensible thing to do to ensure that Silent Ace can't fight back? Because with his superior grip, the final sector should just be a doddle for Glock to pull away from the ART car. Let's wait and see here. DRS is going to be open. This should be another straightforward DRS pass for Glock for the net lead of the race. Silent Ace moving over to the right hand side of the track to take the inside line for turn 13. But there's nothing he can do. Glock already ahead, has the better line for the braking zone. A Glock in the lead of this race. Can Silent Ace now hold off for Lee Findlay? He's looking good to get a podium. Is it going to be another second place or will it be a third? We'll have to wait and see. Josh has now dropped back behind Flip Flop Fish, but the Carling does have to pit again. There's Alan now coming into the pits from the race lead. That will put Glock into the lead of this race. Started on pole. Perhaps a bit of inexperience with starting these F2 cars showing, as he now sets the fastest lap of the race, but he's recovered well. Was he involved in that incident with Flip Flop Fish earlier? Wouldn't surprise me if the stewards have to have a look at that. The drivers are genuinely more relaxed about the incidents that they have in F2 than they have been in F1 so far this season. But there were so many drivers in that, at least half the field getting damaged. Wouldn't surprise me if we do see a stewards inquiry. And Glock was definitely very close with Flip Flop Fish when it happened. It'll be interesting to have a look afterwards to see what exactly happened, but he's not worrying about that at the moment. He has a 1.2 second lead over Silent Ace, who himself is 1.2 seconds ahead of the championship leader. Andenge in 4th place, a long way behind, and he's going to have Alan all over the back of him soon. Flip Flop 6th, Josh 7th, Paulie Orange currently holding that reverse grid pole position with 8th, George 9th, and Droftas 10th. The only retirement we've had in this race, because we've still got 14 runners, is Westy. He retired on lap 1 and he's going to have to come from the back in the sprint race. So Flip Flop Fish, how long is he going to go on these medium tyres? Because he started on the mediums, and you have to do a lap on the super softs. We did see Andenge get disqualified at Hungary for not doing that after he had a crash on the first lap. I think it must have just slipped his mind. But Flip Flop Fish will be trying to carry on as long as possible Although, as we see Lee Finlay, he's managed to get past Silent Ace. He's gone a bit deep though into turn 15, and that's going to give Silent Ace to try and run all the way around the outside. Not got the tyre grip to do so. Lee Finlay just able to take that second place as Paulie Orange actually getting ahead of Josh as well. That missing end plate really costing him at the moment. Will George be able to catch up? That he does not want to happen. He doesn't want George and Droftas to catch him up, because that would drop him out of the top 8. I mean, he won't get the benefit of the reverse grid. George, I feel, might be able to. Whether Josh can, whether Droftas can, that's going to be a different matter. And I don't think Flip Flop Fish will come out ahead after the pit stop. He will be quite a long way down, possibly outside of the point, so he's going to have to try and come from a long way down the grid. This Glock now has a 4-second lead over Lee Finlay with 3 laps to go. It looks like Glock's going to take the victory here. Battle that will soon be developing is Alan on his fresh super soft tyres, a second behind Andenge. If I was Flip Flop Fish, I would pit this lap around to make sure you've got one flying lap on those super soft tyres to try and, even if you don't get the 2 points yourself because you're not in the top 10, steal those 2 points from someone else. Ayland, you can see, closing the gap all the time. Is going to be using DRS on that back straight. Still calling it a straight despite the fact it does have 2 corners, but they are flat out. One of them, turn 12, a bit more awkward into the braking zone. You can see Anden just getting a wheel spin there as Infamous Pillars, he retires from the session. He's pulled into the pit, so we are now down to just 13 runners. Hibilu, the last of those runners, in 13th, but his teammates having a much better race than Hibilo. Tries to go round the outside at turn 13, and Edge fighting for all he's worth, but he's not got the grip on those tyres. Those Pirellis crying enough at the moment, and Alan up into 4th position for now. Josh doing a good job of keeping his car on a decent pace at least. I think he might have enough in the end to hold off George. It's going to be close between them at the end. George is going to pick up points once again. And if he benefits from a reverse grid, pole position or top front row here, we saw how feisty he was in Bahrain. He's not the easiest driver to get past, and Sochi not the easiest circuit to overtake on. So it could be a very lively front of the grid for the sprint race. One person looks as though he'll definitely be starting in 8th after winning the feature of his Glock. He's now 4.1 seconds ahead, and Lee Finlay, championship leader, seeing his 2 championship rivals currently down in 6th and 8th, and Flip Flop, surely he has to pit this time around. He won't get a chance to set the fastest lap on those super soft tyres, but he needs to pit, otherwise he's going to get disqualified for not using 2 different types of tyres, and any chance he's got of getting points is going to go out the window. He'll be starting from the back of the grid in the sprint race, and that will be a big blow for his championship. The battles throughout the field. Droftas is pitted. He now comes out in last place. George catching up to Josh with 1.5 laps to go. He's got the gap down to 1.5 seconds. So it looks like we're going to see a swap for 8th and 9th, which will be 7th and 8th. Josh will be safe from Cassie G's. Of course, if he starts in 8th place, which looks the most likely place at the moment, he will have that sprint race pole position. And with the pace he showed here in the first part of qualifying before he crashed, it wouldn't surprise me if he picks up the 15 points for the win in the next race. Whoever finishes behind him, though, that is definitely a lot more unpredictable, I feel, as George now not close enough to use DRS this time around. But I can't see Josh defending too hard. He'll just hold himself and George up as George then goes deep into 13, compromises in for 14, and Josh safe for another day. Flip Flop Fish hasn't headed into the pits, and there you go, disqualified from the session. Didn't use the super soft tyres. Flip Flop Fish, what have you done? Paulie Orange, actually, no, he's starting on the super softs as well. So a lot of drivers forgot to do that. Josh could still find himself well up the field here. Cassie G and Jon Palainen and Hibilo promoted into the points. Paulie Orange and Flip Flop Fish, I imagine they're currently face palming their steering wheels as they speak. Cassie G, he's heading into the pits. He's heading off of the medium tyre. So Jon Palainen promoted up into 8th place. He'll get sprint race pole position, as George must have made a mistake somewhere there, because he's dropped a long way back behind Josh, who's still going to hold on now, you'd say, to 6th place at the moment. But out in front coming towards the back straight is Glock. Started from pole position. Made a bad start, dropped to third, fourth position. Had that big fight on the first lap with Flip Flop Fish and his teammate. Came through the incident unscathed. Got past Lee Findlay. Got past got past Silent Ace, after the pit stops. And it has been an exemplary performance from the F2 debutant. Debutants love a win here at F1, and it doesn't matter if it's F2 or F1. But Glock comes around the final corner. He's going to take victory here in race 17 in the F2 series. Glock with the win. Lee Findlay will be second across the line, but he does have a few penalties to add on. See there, yes, Silent Ace has got past Lee Findlay on penalties. So Silent Ace, a second position for him. Lee Findlay will be happy with that podium position as we see Glock gets the points for the fastest lap. Alan, another fantastic F2 performance from him. He comes home in fourth. And Denge in fifth. And he now really needs a fantastic performance in the sprint race to give himself a realistic chance of winning this F2 championship. As you can see, Josh, he's got George right behind him again, and I think Josh is going to hold off. But I know he has a 3-second penalty. I can't recall whether George has or not. So Josh is going to come across the line. George did have a penalty, so they come across 6th and 7th, and it's going to be Jon Palainen in 8th. And he will get the pole position for the sprint race. Could have been oh so different though if there wasn't that incident early on, and if Paulie Orange and Flip Flop Fish had remembered that you have to make a pit stop onto different tyres. So probably didn't actually cost them too much. Maybe they'd have had a chance to sneak a point or two, judging by the gaps. I feel like they probably actually would be able to get more than that. I think they'd have come out ahead of Jon Palainen. Were definitely ahead of Hibilo. So they could have got a couple of points, and if they'd have come out ahead of Jon Palainen, probably looking good for a good qualifying slot in the reverse grid race. But that is by the by. They've both been disqualified. Glock, though, with the victory. He will be delighted with that. Silent Ace in second, and it is a third position for Lee Findlay, a 9th podium for him in F2. That is why he's leading the championship and looking very handy at the moment to possibly take a victory at the end of the season. So there we go, that was the top three. Glock, Silent Ace getting second on penalties from Lee Findlay. Alan in fourth, clean race from him, well deserved fourth place. And Denge fifth, Josh sixth, holding off George in the end by less than a second. Jon Palainen in eighth, he'll be on pole position for the sprint race. Hibilo picking up some more points in ninth. Cassie G getting his first point of the season. Drofdas, Infamous Pillars with a Drofdas was the final finisher, Infamous Pillars and Westy both retired, and Paulie Orange and Flip Flop Fish both getting disqualified. So it'll be Jon Palainen and George on the front row for the sprint race. Josh and Denge row 2. Alan and Lee Findlay will be on row 3. Silent Ace starting 7th. Glock starting 8th. Hibilo 9th. Cassie G 10th. Drofdas 11th. Pillars 12th. Westy 13th. Paulie Orange 14th. Flip Flop Fish, he's got to try and come back from 15th place if he wants to salvage any points and give himself a chance of winning the championship. Obviously next time around, you've got to say now, the ball squarely in Lee Findlay's court. If he keeps up his consistent results over the next 3 races, that should be enough to see him crowned the first ever F2 champion here at FOR. Of course, what Flip Flop Fish and Paulie Orange have done is ensured they've definitely got a fresh set of those super soft tyres. Josh will have them as well. We'll have to see if any other drivers have got fresh sets of them super soft, because they've such a big tyre delta, as we saw in the qualifying session. You don't want to be using a fresh set of the medium tyres, otherwise you're going to find yourself dropping back quite severely in the early stages. And we're going to find out soon enough who's going to take the victory in the sprint race. Josh has won a race at every meeting so far, and he starts third. His teammate Jon Palainen on pole with George alongside him. And we are racing here. It's a good start from Jon Palainen and George and Josh. In fact, Josh trying to split the two of them on the run down to turn 1, and he's already done that coming through turn 2. He's now going to be in the slipstream of his teammate, pulling out of that already. They're both on the super soft tyres. We're going to see Josh take the lead early on, coming through turn 2. In fact, George has chucked it down the inside, nearly lost it. Lee Findlay nearly tapping the back of him as well. In fact, no, I think that was Denge who's dropped back, sorry. So Anden's dropped out some flip-flop fish in the wall again. Well. It was looking so good for him in qualifying. And it was almost certain now he's going to be getting no points. Westy, it says, is in the pit, so I'm not sure if he's had a disconnection problem. But it is Josh in the lead, Lee Findlay second, and Jon Palainen third. George in fourth place. Silent Ace getting past Hibilo now for fifth and sixth. But we've already seen some carnage on the first lap with Droftas and Flip-Flop Fish involved in that. And Denge, I think, was another driver who I saw tried and getting very sideways, and I was just wondering if there's been a little tap that's triggered that as he goes down the inside of Glock at turn 10. Glock obviously getting a much better exit, so he retakes that position. The Dams car's running 9th and 10th at the moment. Glock in the slipstream of his teammate with Andenge all over the back of him. Is he going to be able to do anything about it? Not this time around. Further, in fact, yeah, sorry to cut away there. He went for it very late and he's made the move stick. Paulie Orange clearly wise to that. Good driving from Glock there and Paulie Orange to be aware. He moves up into 9th place. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2. I'm not sure who that's for. I think Flip-Flop Fish has been off yet again, so things getting bad to worse for him with no front wing. That is going to be his championship over, I feel, as George has got past Jon Palainen. They're going to be side by side coming through the final corner. This has given Silent Ace to close up on the pair of them. See there, from Aylan, Silent Ace has got past George. He's got a better exit through that corner than Jon Palainen. George trying to hold off. Doesn't want to defend too hard though, because Aylan not too far behind. There's a train of cars here from 3rd to 6th place. The front two have got away. Silent Ace down the inside into turn 2. Goes a bit deep. Forces Jon Palainen over the curb. George trying to take advantage of that. Aylan there as well. Flip-Flop Fish has retired. And after scoring no points here, he can wave goodbye to having a championship challenge, I feel, with Josh and Lee Findlay doing well. George cutting over the curb quite severely there. Aylan's just going to say thank you very much after getting a better exit. And somehow... Oh, in fact, no, sorry. George has gone round. George tapped the back of surface there and has gone round the Prima car, just avoiding being collected by Andenge and Infamous Pillars. He is down to 12th position as Josh pushing very hard, getting time penalties. He's got one so far. As long as he keeps it at 1, he should be fine. He's nearly 2 seconds ahead of Lee Findlay at the moment. He's got a 4.5 second lead ahead of Jon Palainen. Always seems to be a feature of these sprint races that the first few drivers, if you're just able to get away, you will find yourself not getting stuck in this battle. And now Jon Palainen, he wants to get away before next time around, where there will be a DRS train we will see appearing. Cassie G all over the back of Aylan. He got his first point in the feature race. But who's that? That's Hibilo, who's got it completely wrong. Coming into that corner there. Hibilo gets a 10-second penalty for time cutting. Does very well to avoid taking out the entire field there. And he's going to be coming back in 12th position. So any chance he had of getting points for the Arden team has gone. And yeah, he is retired from the session. So now Silent Ace in 5th. Aylan is 4th. Jon Palainen's got that gap to just over a second. As DRS is enabled, they will have it down the pit straight, I believe. Yeah, you can see now it's opening on the back of Silent Ace as he tries to close up to Aylan. Glock and Cassie G battling side by side on the run down to turn 2. Glock had the inside line. Cassie G trying to do the cutback to get the overtake and not done. He's going to stay in that Dams sandwich for now. As Fantasy actually made a slight mistake coming on the exit of the corner, and Paulie Orange takes that 7th place from him. So he's in 7th. Glock in 6th, who won the last race. It's Josh, who always seems to just pick up a victory in these sprint races. Every weekend so far, he's had a victory. He's going to make it 6 from 6 meetings. If he stays in front, he's got a 2.5 second lead at the moment. Lee Findlay streaking away from Jon Palainen. I think he's too busy worrying about Aylan. Any chances of Jon Palainen finishing ahead of Lee Findlay, I think, are well out the window with only 2.5 laps to go. He just wants to concentrate on getting his 3rd podium of the season. It'll be his first since the feature race at Belgium, and would be his first podium in a sprint race for Jon Palainen. Silent Ace, he's battling all over the back of Aylan. Both of these are going to have DRS. Silent Ace right in the slipstream, pulls out in his ART. They're going to be side by side coming into turn 13. In the end, Aylan just had enough advantage, goes very deep. Jon Palainen has ahead, but Jon Palainen was far enough ahead of the car behind to keep that position. Silent Ace, so gratefully takes that place from Aylan as Glock tries to go down the inside of Silent Ace, and oh, this all gone wrong for Glock and Aylan there. Glock, that was a late move there. I don't really think the door was open. got tapped by Silent Ace, and that's also damaged Alan and really ruined any chances for both of them to get good points, I feel. Especially Alan was looking as though he could possibly get a podium. He's going to be lucky to get any points at all now, but that's promoted Paulie Orange up into 8th and Denge back into 7th with his damage earlier on. But he's now the driver in the Dams sandwich. Cassie G's got ahead of the pair of these cars. He's now in 5th place. And that's given Silent Ace a chance to attack Jon Palainen without having to worry about any cars ahead of them. They're all behind them. They've got a bit of a gap now to 5th place. Jon Palainen locking up again into turn 4. It's a very difficult braking zone, as are many on this circuit. It's so easy to just snatch a front brake, as again Jon Palainen does it. Makes the apex zone. Silent Ace all over the back of him, coming through 6 and 7, trying to get a better exit through these corners to maybe go round the outside. In fact, he's just gone straight into the back of Jon Palainen, got caught out there, no damage done. Maybe just needs to be a bit patient and wait until this next DRS straight with 1 lap to go at the end of this one. It's going to be Josh and Lee Findlay who take the 1-2. Whoever takes 2nd place, whoever takes 3rd place, so he's up in the air at the moment. Silent right on the back of Jon Palainen. This time going to the left hand side. He should be ahead before we get to the braking zone. And he is. The ART looking good for a 3rd podium in a row. But Jon Palainen, I'm sure, will have a lot to say about that. Glock behind and Denge. If either of these make a mistake, Paulie Orange and Infamous Pillars will be right on there. We've got a 4-way battle for the final 3 points places at the moment, as Paulie Orange had a bit of a mistake coming out of 15 there. Paulie Orange not able to get on the back of his teammate. Infamous Pillars not able to take advantage for now. Infamous trying to get another point. Will be his 2nd points finish after sneaking a 10th last time around, but he's got a few penalties here, and I think that is going to drop him down the order. We see now towards the end of the race, Jon Palainen not close enough to have a go at Silent. Glock, is he close enough to have a go at Andenge? And then sticking to the middle of the road, going defensive here. Glock's going to have to go all the way round the outside at turn 2. He's trying his best, but I think Andenge is just about. No, he hasn't held on. Cameron didn't really help us there. He's now trying to go round the outside at turn 3. He's done it now. That is a fantastic defence of the position by Andenge. He stays ahead for now, but he won't have DRS down the back straight, so that could give Glock the advantage, as Paulie Orange is all over the back of his teammate as well. The 7th and 8th position. Glock not able to make his way up through the field much in this feature race, partly obviously due to that collision we saw with Alan, which put the Arden way down the order when he looked as though he could get a possible podium here. Stay on these guys at the moment. Jon Palainen too far back to get DRS, so I think Silent Ace has got that 3rd place and 3rd podium in a row in the bag. Is anything going to happen between these guys? Glock's dropped back from Andenge. Paulie Orange, he's right on the back of his teammate now. Alan's managed to get ahead of George. Is Paulie Orange going to go down the inside? Not this time around, and it is Josh who's going to come towards the finish line to take a 6th win here in F2 this season. Josh wins his 2nd sprint race in a row. Lee Findlay will finish in 2nd place in the end. Go to this battle once again, as Silent Ace will take 3rd. Glock just holding on for his teammate. He wasn't able to attack Andenge in the end. There you go. Jon Palainen sneaking 3rd on penalties by 0.129 seconds. He'll be delighted with that. Cassie G in 5th. Glock 6th and 7th on penalties ahead of Andenge. Infamous Pillars 9th. Alan 10th place. He'll be disappointed. George as well after spinning early on. And Drofdas, after getting involved in an incident, he's still driving around. And he will come home in 12th position. But it's Josh with the victory here in the sprint race. And he did get the fastest lap. So that's a bonus 2 points. That could really help. Had that incident with Lee Findlay in the feature race. Had a mistake as well on the early part of the running on the super soft tyres, which damaged his front wing. Cost him at least a chance of battling Lee Findlay, and Glock for the victory ended up dropping back behind a few other drivers, but he's recovered well to take a win here in the sprint. And Lee Findlay then 10 podiums now. Josh 6 wins here in F2, and that really gives him a fighting chance going into the final 2 races in Abu Dhabi. He will be absolutely delighted with how that sprint race has turned out in the end. So here we go, the running order from that sprint race. It was Josh with a victory, Lee Findlay second, Jompalainen getting his first sprint race podium, Surface Ace fourth, Cassie G his best finish of the season fifth, Glock and Paulie Orange making it down 6 and 7, and Denge sneaking a point there. Infamous Pillars just missing out, Alan missing out after that incident with Glock, George and Drofdas finishing well down the order, and Hibilu and Flip Flop the retirements. If we look at what that does, who got the most points this weekend, you can see Lee Findlay has extended his lead. He is now ahead of Josh by 21 points. He's 34 ahead of Flip Flop Fish. They are the only three who can win the championship, and with 48 points available, got to say it's going to take a big performance from some of these drivers to stop Lee Findlay winning it next time around, especially now that we've got fast drivers like Glock who got more points than anyone this time around as a reserve, stopping those getting the 4 points in qualifying. Great performance from Silent Ace as well, picking up 26 points here. Jompalainen, his best performance in a while. Alan, it could have been so much better. George, it could have been better in the sprint race. Hibilu did very well to avoid taking out the entire field, in fact, and he has apologised for that. Completely missed the braking zone. Paulie Orange and Flip Flop Fish, we saw them get disqualified, and this has really been a weekend to forget for Flip Flop Fish, scoring no points in the feature race and no points in the sprint race. He's still in with a chance, a mathematical chance that is, of winning the F2 driver's title, but he's going to need a huge performance in Abu Dhabi next time around and need some misfortune for Lee Findlay and Josh ahead of him. They are the three drivers who will be fighting in the 19th and 20th races of this season, the final two races next time out around the Yas Marina circuit. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thanks also to MIXT Energy, who sponsor this stream. Use the code FOR2020 to get 10% off. There's also a discount code. You can follow the link in the description for Player One Coffee as well. I'll be bringing the F2 action again on Tuesday, and Jess will be alongside me on Saturday for the Singapore Grand Prix for the F1, where I'm sure the racing will be as close thought as we have seen tonight. Thanks so much again for joining me, and good night.